Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining our session. My name is Adam Boynton. I am Security Sales Manager at Jamf. I'm joined by my colleague Mathieu. So obviously I am English. We will be doing a session in English. If anyone would prefer to ask questions in French, Mathieu is also our Security Sales Manager for France. Yeah, we can answer in both languages for you today. So we're going to do this as a double act. The two of us are going to present our session for you today about effectively securing Apple devices. So I'll hand over to Mathieu to start, and yeah, both of us will be speaking.
Hello, Hello, everyone. So thank you for being here. Really glad to be here in front of you. So today we are going to discuss about the trends in Apple adoption in the enterprise and how it impacts the security landscape. We will share some of the latest research led by our Jamf Threat Labs team and about macOS and mobile devices generally. And we will be introducing our latest solution, Jamf Executive Threat Protection. So first, let's go through the agenda very quickly. So first, we will see who is Jamf and what we do. And then we'll go over the security landscape around what's going on macOS and mobile devices. And then we'll try to understand why there is an increase in Apple cyber attacks. And finally, we will see why Jamf might be the right solution to address those challenges. Let's start with introducing Jamf. So why should you listen to us? Why should you trust Jamf with the security of your Apple devices and your mobile fleet? Well, because we know these platforms like no other. We have more than 20 years of experience around Apple platform, and we are considered today as the leader, the market leader with our solutions that fills the gap between what Apple builds and what the enterprise needs. We currently have more than 75,000 active customers worldwide, managing and securing more than 32 million devices. We currently have the biggest Apple community with more than 150,000 active members composing the Jamf Nation. We are helping most companies in the world, the biggest companies in the world, and are covering all verticals, including finance, technology, public, and most industries. All our security solutions are backed by our Jamf Threat Labs team that is built with experienced threat researchers, cybersecurity experts, data analysts. And this amazing team drives the intelligence across all our products. And they frequently report security bugs and zero-day threats to Apple in order to help them make Apple platform always more secure. For example, the last few years, this team has been studying the ongoing use of sophisticated malwares, including indicators previously attributed to NSO Pegasus, for example. And it's used to target mobiles used by very high-risk individuals. So we'll be sharing some of the research led by the team today during our presentation. So iOS has already penetrated the enterprise market for years, but we think that macOS is starting to follow the same adoption curve. This might be due to the fact that millennials people are coming into the enterprise, and they do prefer actually to work with what they know, which is Apple devices. And when it comes to device employee choice program, it seems that people tend to choose Apple over Windows, especially with macOS devices. So I'd like to present you quickly with one of our major use case with Cisco, that has been one of the first large IT company to actually launch a large-scale employee choice program. And number speaks for itself. After a few years, 60% of the workforce at Cisco are using a Mac, and it completely spreads across all multiple functions within the company. And not only macOS are spreading massively across the company, but they have chosen the whole Jamf portfolio to both manage and secure their Apple devices, including laptops and mobiles and iPads. So our customers, they frequently tell us that we can't really treat Apple devices the same way when it comes to managing and securing those devices. So we need to think differently when it comes to Apple in the enterprise. Now I will hand over the floor to my colleague, Adam.
Yeah. Thank you, Mathieu. So yeah, we are seeing the trend that obviously mobile's already there, but Mac's growth in the enterprise is inevitable. However, attackers and bad actors have taken note of that as well. So our good friends at Apple, they do an excellent job at building an incredibly secure operating system and laying that foundation, if you like, for security. Some recent enhancements we particularly like at Jamf, rapid security response, has been very popular amongst our customers, very widely used and adopted feature. Apple have developed features such as lockdown mode within iOS, which is specifically designed to protect users who think they are victims of spyware attacks, such as the NSO group's Pegasus that Mathieu mentioned. Also, from a security vendor point of view, there's a lot more that we can do within the Apple frameworks and the APIs that they've made available to us to build on what they offer. So they do a great job. And actually, I was at a similar event to this in Denmark a couple of weeks ago, and the main keynote presentation at the end, one of the key takeaways for offering, this guy was offering just general security advice. He was like, if you really want to be secure, give your users an iPad rather than a Windows tablet. So there is this kind of perception that Apple devices, and rightly so, are secure. Now, who here in this room remembers this advertisement? A couple of years old now, but there was a series of advertisements, but one of them in particular was, hey, I'm a Mac, I don't get viruses. And the guy who was Windows was sneezing a lot and had viruses. So it's quite funny. So we know that they do a good job. However, especially in the recent years, as I mentioned, attackers have taken notice of Mac's growing popularity. We are now starting to see a shift, both from Apple themselves, but also in the market, and not just Jamf. A lot of security companies here today are finding that there are some specific attacks, vulnerabilities that are targeting these Apple platforms. Now at Jamf, Mathieu mentioned we have our Threat Labs team. So this is an in-house research team. Very popular within the Jamf community. They publish findings whenever they discover new threats, but they also publish a yearly report where we analyze all of our customers' data, and from that we can produce statistics such as this. So in last year alone, we found 21 new macOS malware families. So there's about 300 in total now, different types of malware targeting or specifically for macOS. What was interesting to me was a large number of organizations had devices running known vulnerabilities. So again, like rapid security response and features like that are designed to target this, but we're still seeing a large proportion of organizations running devices with these known vulnerabilities, and 9% successful phishing attacks. So what we're saying here is, despite a lot of end user training and awareness on phishing, if you're at a company with 100 employees, 9 of those are clicking on phishing links and potentially resulting in a successful phish for the attacker. So quite interesting trends there. If we look at the Mac malware trends in particular and analyzing those samples we found, there's a lot of interesting studies that we've done. Adware continues to be a dominant attack that attackers or type of malware that attackers are using for Mac. What was interesting to me, though, was last year we found the first example of a state-sponsored threat actor, so Lazarus Group, which is linked to the North Korean government. A lot of their kind of programs fund their weapons programming. We found evidence last year, the first time, that there was a macOS specific campaign that they were running. So it was a crypto jacking and ransomware sort of campaign that they were running targeting macOS. So we're now starting to see that it's not just your kind of everyday bad actor, a hacker that's sort of teenager in their parents' bedroom. We're starting to see state-sponsored threat groups now specifically targeting the Mac platform. And mobile's no different. Mathieu mentioned mobile is already widely adopted. We use our mobile devices more frequently. We've seen in the last couple of years in particular an uptick in attackers targeting a mobile device. We put on there the recent sort of changes to iOS where, and we'll talk about this in more detail, where third-party app stores are going to be or are already sort of being introduced. That in itself isn't a security risk necessarily, but it does mean that the apps that users can download won't go through the same vetting process that they traditionally have done with Apple. And on an Android platform, that's typically where we see more associated threats, when users are starting to download apps from anywhere that they can find them. But also, local to Brussels, a couple of weeks ago, the European Parliament put out a press release saying that a number of their employees or individuals were targeted or had evidence of active spyware running on their devices. So we're starting to see more awareness of the mobile threat landscape. And going back to our internal research, I mentioned earlier 9% of successful phishing attacks. The actual percentage of phishing attacks on mobile is 50% more likely or successful for the attacker than on Mac. Why that is, there's a number of reasons for that. There's obvious reasons. The fact that the screen size is smaller, it's often quite difficult to spot these phishing attacks. Matthew will talk a little bit later on, in particular on mobile phishing attacks as well. And that last stat, 1% of organizations experience confirmed mobile malware. Now, you might think that 1% is a low figure, but as Matthew mentioned, we've got 74,000 customers as part of our community. So 1% of 74,000 is still quite a significant number of companies that have at least one device running confirmed mobile malware. So this is a threat we see. So why has there been an increase in these Apple-specific attacks? Obviously, I mentioned already, Apple's growing in popularity. There's a larger attack surface for threat actors to target. But that's not the only reason. So we, again, as part of our own research, did some analysis where we took some macOS malware samples that our solution had detected and protected our customers against. We then uploaded these malicious files or malware samples to VirusTotal. So maybe a quick show of hands, is everyone familiar with VirusTotal? Yeah, perfect. It's an online security database which a lot of security companies contribute to. What we found when we uploaded these Mac malware samples to VirusTotal was over half were either completely unknown or even undetected by these companies that are contributing to VirusTotal. Now, why might that be? When you look at the MITRE ATT&CK framework, which is a framework which is built for security companies to kind of benchmark, there's a number of different threat vectors that a security solution should protect against on Windows. When we cross-reference that to macOS, I'm sure we're all familiar, none of these exist on macOS. There's no such thing as Windows registry on macOS or native Windows binaries. macOS has an entirely different sort of set of threat vectors that you need to be protected against. So what we find in our experience, and to kind of summarize, is that a lot of Windows-built security tools can support your Apple environment, and often, yeah, they do an okay job at doing so, and certainly they are improving in that area, but they're not necessarily built for that operating system. So either we've had sort of evidence from customers that they don't offer the best user experience. Again, that is improving, but it still is a big concern, especially on a Mac. If you're going to give someone a Mac OS, brand new Mac, you want it to run quickly, smoothly, as efficiently as you'd expect. If they're not looking in the right areas, then they can offer limited protection. Often a lot of feedback I get is, yeah, we've got this tool on our Mac, it doesn't do a lot, it sits there, it's okay. That might be because there's no threats on the Mac, or it might be because it's not looking in the right areas to detect these threats. Again, that's an assessment and judgment that each individual needs to make. And there have been examples in the past where they've not been keeping up to date with latest releases of Apple operating system, especially with rapid security response. It's very important. So this is where we come in. As Matthew mentioned, we are our background is very much in Mac and certainly in mobile as well. We offer purpose-built products for each of those operating systems. So for Mac OS, the product's been built from the ground up to obviously protect and run on a Mac OS. Same goes for your mobile operating systems as well. There's a number of features that we offer that are unique to Jamf that we build upon the Apple frameworks and the APIs that are available to us. We've always been able to provide same-day operating system support, especially with rapid security response from a security point of view. Very important from that point of view. We'll have a little look at what the product looks like. We are doing demonstrations at our stand as well. So if anyone wants to get hands-on with the tool throughout today and tomorrow, please do come over to our stand. But from a macOS point of view, firstly, the most important thing initially is that we are leveraging the inbuilt security features that Apple provide and build into the operating system. They're only really effective if you're utilizing them at their correct version across each device, and each user has the correct sort of settings in place. So straight away, when you use our product, we use CIS, Center for Internet Security benchmarking, but you can use other benchmarking protocols if you prefer. And we'll immediately identify if there are any areas of weakness or vulnerabilities across your macOS estate. We'll give you an overall compliance score, so you can then see if there is a macOS that is potentially vulnerable and quickly then remediate that and patch that and fix that accordingly, or take actions accordingly. Same applies for your mobile operating system. You'll be able to identify if there are any known CVEs running across any of your mobile devices or the applications running. And again, if there is a vulnerability within an operating system, you can ensure that. Then we do a lot of monitoring and threat hunting on the back end within the macOS operating system as well. So a lot of what our product is doing is integrating with your existing security tools. That is one of the kind of questions we get from our customers is, yeah, it sounds good. I want to use a best of breed product for Apple, but I also have thousands of Windows devices and I want to kind of have consistency across each of those respective operating systems. So a big part of what we do is integration with existing tools like SIEM or SOAR, or even coexisting with another endpoint protection solution, where we can then provide that additional Apple intelligence and Apple protection, but send that data, send the sort of telemetry and the kind of threat hunting that we're doing into one centralized place, so that you and your security teams are not having to kind of juggle multiple dashboards. It's all being fed into one place. You've got workflows and set up so that any remediation is taken care of as well. Build this out. Then from a protection point of view, I mentioned that we have the Threat Labs team, so a lot of their research is underpinning what we are sort of providing as kind of that malware prevention, malware detection capabilities. Built into the product, we also offer DNS filtering. So this is standard part of the product, so you can provide that protection from web-based attacks such as phishing attacks or command and control traffic. It can also be used for more of a traditional content filter if you want to stop users visiting unapproved or illegal websites within the macOS. And then we have controls in place that enforce the use of acceptable use on the Mac, either through controlling the applications users can or can't install, controlling the internet sites they can visit, but also very importantly, the use of USB devices as well. This is a feature that was previously part of the MDM framework within Apple that's since subsequently been moved to endpoint security APIs. So if you want to control how users are using these mass media devices or USB insertion within macOS, this is a feature which is very popular amongst our customer base here. A big thing for us is how we also don't interfere with the end user experience. So this is just a typical example of a user attempting to open an application, which in this case has been flagged as malicious, and the response that we have here. It's very important to us that the user experience isn't impacted in any way. What we want is, and you can achieve this through sort of installing our software without the user having to do anything. So you can do a zero-touch deployment and installation of the software. But ideally, what we want is the user to not realize that there's additional third-party software running on their Mac. That's the kind of feedback we often get is, actually, I didn't know that there was a security tool in place until I had to know that there's a security tool in place. That's really important on the Mac OS. But also, yeah, from an admin and administration point of view, those of us in the security team, we want to know that. So to give you a bit more data to back up what we were saying, we've done, this is research done by a partner of ours last year where they evaluated our product against a Windows first solution. So this is a solution that's been built initially for Windows that in the last couple of years has extended their support to Mac. As you can see, they do a good job in some areas, but there are areas that they are falling short. If we look a little bit more detail, these are specific macOS malware that we mentioned. Again, maybe half are being detected by this Windows first solution, but a large chunk are going undetected when we perform this analysis. And then from a threat hunting and monitoring point of view, again, there's only sort of really Jamf and what we're doing is on the macOS that's looking at all of these different analytics to try and sort of identify where threats could be coming from, or if an attacker is sort of operating in the background there. So I'm going to shift away from Mac, go back to mobile now. I'll pass back to Matthew to continue.
Hello. Yeah, thank you. So we have just seen that having a dedicated security solution for macOS is really important. But at Jamf, we believe it's the same thing actually for mobile security solutions. So that is why we are proposing different solutions, allowing to answer to different level of security within the enterprise. So we have a solution called Jamf Protect, which is a mobile threat detection solution. The aim of the solution is really to detect and block common threats, like Adam was mentioning, the download of malicious applications. I think most of your employees have already received phishing links through a WhatsApp message or SMS or by email. So we would detect and prevent the opening of this link.
Okay. You may have.
Sorry about the noise. So the goal of Jamf Protect is really to reduce the attack surface for most of your typical users. But this is only the visible part of the iceberg when it comes to mobile security, because a threat defense solution will look at very high level items on the device, like applications, the network level, etc. So for some of your important users, like COMEX member, for example, or VIPs that are traveling in difficult countries for their business activities, they might need to level up in terms of mobile security. So that is why we have launched a new solution called Jamf Executive Threat Protection, which is the solution on the right. And it actually goes deeper in terms of visibility and security, and it will work by collecting the logs at the deepest level on the device, like kernel or system level. Then it will correlate those logs and make sure that nothing weird is happening on the device. And that is how we can know that one device has been infected, for example, by Pegasus. So any device that has access to corporate resources, either it's professional or personal device, should have the same level of protection against a threat. So all it means is checking the baseline for security, protecting against sophisticated threats, and detect any user-initiated risk. The Jamf Trust app, which is the security agent that is pushed on the device, can perform a variety of security checks, including jailbreak detections, monitoring for out-of-date or vulnerable OS version on the device. It can check the device encryption status, for example. And some mobile security detection needs a UEM connection to collect additional MDM inventory data on the device. The security app contains an advanced machine learning to block known and new phishing attacks, cryptojacking, and risky domain in real time before it even impacts the device. So it offers category-based content filtering, like Adam mentioned, in order to enforce acceptable use policies, and it prevents users from accessing prohibited or risky content, for example. And finally, the solution also provides real app intelligence to protect any mobile against risky applications or advanced malware. Our security apps also integrate with your main identity providers like Okta or Microsoft Entra ID in order to check the user legitimacy before accessing accessing or grant the access to one specific application from the mobile device. Then we can create a split tunneling in order to route the business traffic through our private gateway for further checks around the device posture and security checks. If everything is fine, then we build this secure connection. And if there is something wrong happening on the device, we will lower the risk score of the device, and then we can block the connection to the business application, and we will alert both of the user and the admin as well. For general internet traffic, we can decide to either let the connection goes directly to the internet, or we can still route it to our cloud gateway for content filtering purpose. And last but not least, as Adam was saying, our ZTNA technology is built upon Apple security framework in order to offer the best user experience that people are expecting from an Apple device. When it comes to some specific users, you might have VIPs within your companies that need special attention because they are traveling to an unsafe country, they are manipulating very sensitive data, for example. So that is why we have added this new solution called Jamf Executive Threat Protection. What it does, it offers comprehensive forensics capabilities on both iOS and Android by collecting the logs at the deepest level, and in a matter of minutes, it provides detailed results if the mobile has been compromised, and it shows as well what are the impacts on the device, and it gives insights on the timeline of the attacks. So the solution is really simple to use. There is no agent or enrollment required. You just need to plug the device to a computer and launch the scan. It works, again, on both iOS and Android. And the log collection and analysis is done instantly in a few minutes. Console can be deployed either in the cloud or on-prem, depending on your activities. And all the investigation results can then be shared with the incident response team for further checks and remediation action. So I will let Adam to conclude.
Yeah, I've just on executive threat protection. Like Matthew said, this is a slightly newer product to us. We initially acquired a company 2.5 years ago and then have expanded or built on that platform. Last year, we were the only security company that had a confirmed detection of Pegasus. So if anyone's interested to learn a bit more about how we did that and our findings behind that, by all means, we can talk about it. A question we often get asked is like, why do I need mobile threat defense and this product? And I have quite a basic analogy, but just bear with me and it will hopefully make sense. So picture your mobile phone as if you are building a house from scratch. Okay, so you're building a house from scratch. From a security point of view, you want to keep everything in the house safe and secure from threats. So what you would do is you would put a secure door with a lock. You'd put locks on every window. You'd maybe build a fence with gates. You'd maybe even buy a guard dog. That is what a mobile threat defense solution is doing. It's preventing an attacker from coming on into your house. It's trying to prevent an attacker from getting onto your phone. However, if I'm a nation state or I'm a threat group which has a lot of money behind it, I'm not going to be put off by a couple of locks and a guard dog. Like if I really wanted to, I could abseil into your house. I could tunnel in underground. This is what attackers are doing on a mobile phone. So Jamf Executive Threat Protection in this analogy is basically like laser beams and cameras, everything within the house. So once an attacker gets in there, it will detect it straight away, alert you and alert the user, hey, there's someone in there. So if anyone is also feeling brave, we can do a live scan of your device at our stand. And we can, if anyone is feeling brave or paranoid that they think their phone is been compromised, come over and we can run a test for you. So just to summarize, it's okay. We're seeing an increase in macOS and mobile use in the enterprise. Like we said, mobile is already there in terms of adoption. macOS is inevitable. If you've got 10 Macs now, in 5 years' time, I guarantee that number's probably going to be 10 times that, and it's just going to keep increasing. So from a security point of view, we recommend that you stay ahead of that curve, invest in specific tools to secure and protect those operating systems. Because the current tools that are built for Windows aren't offering adequate protection or support on those operating systems. We've invested in those best-of-breed technologies for both Mac and mobile. That is our background. That is our bread and butter. So please do come and see us. I think we are pretty much bang on time. If nothing else, we've been efficient for you today. by all means, come up and ask a question at the end, unless anyone's got a burning question. But if not, yeah, we'll see you at our stand hopefully later today. Thank you for your time this morning.